So I had initially planned on waiting to do a book haul until the end of the month because I'm picking up some things from the library sale next week. Hopefully, I'm gonna be real upset if I get there and it's just a bunch of turds. But anyways, was gonna wait to do a book haul. And then Jake at Pulp Mortem did the best worst thing that a buddy can do. And that was offered me as many free books as I could take off of his hands. He got lucky. I say lucky, even though all it means is more space taken up in your house and more stress. He got a bunch of books. I mean, like boxes and boxes and boxes of books. Probably 1,000 books, if not more. I think it might have been more. He said, hey, I got everything I wanted out of this. What do you want from it before I sell it? So I went to go check it out. So what I want to do in this video is we're going to go over some of the stuff I found myself recently, and then we're going to dig through a moving box full of books that I took from Jake. There's some really good stuff in there. Some of it, I'm not sure when or if I will ever get to it, but I really wanted it. So I picked up Why Me by Donald Westlake, and this is a Dortmunder novel, and I want to read Dortmunder because I read the first book in his Parker series, The Hunter, under his pseudonym Richard Stark, and that book is stressful. You're following a sociopath as he gets revenge. It's brutal. Well, this is the same style of crime novel, except a comedy. So in Parker, he is like hyper competent and always gets the job done. Well, from what I've heard in this, everything that could go wrong goes wrong in the funniest way possible. So this will be exciting. I want to get to this and see if I prefer his Dortmunder series over his Parker series. Plus, little baby short books, always good. Pick that up for 50 cents. Can't go wrong. I picked this up at an antique store, The Shadow People by Margaret St. Clair. This isn't in the best shape, but I never see Margaret St. Clair anywhere, and I have wanted to read this for a very long time. I have only read short stories by her, which this might as well be a short story. This is like a novelette, tiny. This is on Appendix N. Thought it was a good pickup for like $3. The Shadow People, they came from the Underearth to take over the world. I flipped it open, and her writing style is very interesting. It is a lot more Lord Dunsany than it is more modern fantasy. I think this came out in the 60s. I don't know when it was originally published, but she's definitely a lot more classic fantasy than she is modern. I picked up another Avenel Press book, which is like a bundle of an author's writing, and this is by Dick Francis. It's 4 complete novels: Odds Against, Flying Finish, Bloodsport, Rat Race. Heard these are like thrillers or something. I see Dick Francis all the time. Never read them. I want to try. So I thought, what better place to start than with a omnibus that I was going to hoard anyways. These are dirt cheap. I pick these up at Half Price Books all the time for next to nothing. I think I got this for $1. It's mostly because they don't have a barcode. Half Price Books doesn't know how to price things that don't have a barcode. I have seen some of these that I have now from Half Price Books that I picked up for $5, and they're like $50 or $60 on eBay and stuff. Not giving you like book investing advice or something, just saying like it's a good way to get a deal on a lot of books to read at one time. Another omnibus I picked up, who knows when I'll read it, is Three Stalwarts by Walter D. Edmonds. This is historical fiction. I know nothing about it. The books are Drums Along the Mohawk, Erie Water, and Rome Hall. And the reason I got this was because of a couple of reviews I saw on Goodreads. One of them was about Drums Along the Mohawk, and they said they got this collection and that they had no intention of reading it. Their father like brought it to them when they were sick or in the hospital or something, and they said they just started reading it and could not stop. It was a pleasure to read, and so we'll see. Every once in a while I want to read some off the beaten path historical fiction, and this definitely ticks all those boxes. This is one of my semi upgrades. I picked up a trade paperback a while ago, and this is a hardcover from my local library, and that is The Cooking Gene by Michael W. Twitty. I have seen him on different YouTube channels, and this is a journey through African-American culinary history in the Old South. I've wanted to read this for a long time. He was fantastic on I can't remember the YouTube channel I was watching, but he was just giving a brief history of cooking in the South, and it was really good. So I've been reading Impresario of Texas, which is a biography of Stephen F. Austin by Greg Cantrell. Well, I found another book I thought I might be interested in, and it's David Crockett, The Lion of the West. So the cool thing about Impresario of Texas is it takes the lionization of Stephen F. Austin and just grounds him back in reality as a real person. And that seems like what this does too, even though the little thing says The Lion of the West. Anyways, yeah, the description, it's saying it's a very good biography of the actual things that David Crockett did. I've been really enjoying reading Texas history lately, so thought it'd be a good pickup. After that, I got on Pango Books, which is always a mistake, but I had a coupon. So I had to use it. I mean, you got to spend money to save money. That's how it works. And so I was just perusing and I saw this Heart of Bronze by Matthew Woodring Stover. He wrote Heroes Die, which I absolutely love. And so I thought, oh, I'll pick this up. And before I picked it up, I was just perusing Goodreads, and someone whose reviews I trust gave it a pretty decent rating. So it'll probably be a 5-star for me if it's a decent rating from them. So I'm looking forward to this. It's like very sword and sorcery, and I love me some sword and sorcery. I have a pretty nice collection of Robert Jordan novels. I think I have almost the entire Wheel of Time series, first edition, first printing, and I've got a couple of them signed. So I wanted to improve my collection. I'm always looking for a good deal because I don't want to pay some exorbitant price. But I saw that the Eye of the World has a 30th anniversary edition, which isn't as good as a first edition, first printing of Eye of the World. But I do have a first edition, first printing of the trade paperback Eye of the World. It was published at the same time as the hardcover, which is weird. I don't think they simultaneously publish stuff like that anymore. It's in rough shape. Got it for like $3 15 years ago. Anyways, I picked up this off Pengo Books for like $11. Crazy. I couldn't believe it was so cheap. And I know I had to get it because it was showing up on ads on social media. Someone was going to snag this first. It definitely wasn't just that I had cookies in my web browser that showed I had looked at it and they were just trying to trick me into thinking it was going to sell fast. So I picked this up. I think this will be a good substitute for a first edition, first printing until I can find one. I still need one for The Great Hunt. We'll get that eventually. Now these last two I picked up at Recycled Books because I had to get something there. Always do. Speaking of Impresario of Texas, this is a first edition, first printing in a Brodart. Had to have it. Can't say no to something like that. I actually put back a book that I wanted to get this because I really like this. Maybe I can meet Greg Cantrell and he'll sign it for me and I can tell him how much I enjoy the book. And this last thing I've wanted for a while, and this is some very nerdy stuff. It is a copy of Tunnels and Trolls by Ken St. Andre. Now, Tunnels and Trolls was the first clone of Dungeons and Dragons. I think the way the story goes is Ken St. Andre played D&D in like California or something. This is like my vague recollections from reading the history of Dungeons and Dragons and then from the amazing Shannon Applecline history of the entire tabletop RPG genre. And he was like, I think I could do that better. And so he went home and made Tunnels and Trolls. And then they tried suing him, all that good stuff. It is like a cult classic and it's very small, very simple. It's a lot like original D&D. And so I really want to give this a read. I will never run this. Well, I can't say never, but I have no intention of running this. I just love the old school RPG aesthetic, like the little hand-drawn art. You know, Dungeon Crawl Classics does it now. And that's another reason I wanted to go through this is I love seeing the origins of such a cool game. I'm not saying that Dungeon Crawl Classics is based on Tunnel and Trolls. Dungeon Crawl Classics is based on the writing of Appendix N and is the best version of the D20 system ever designed. But anyways, yeah, really hyped about this. It'll be fun to go through and just see how different this game is than modern like Dungeons and Dragons tabletop RPGs. All right, so that's it for those. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into this curse that Jake gave me. Well, offered to me, I could have said no. First thing I picked up was The Forge of God by Greg Bear. I've heard good things about this book. And Greg Bear wrote a unique fantasy series that is unlike anything else I've ever read. It's so bizarre. I don't get how it came out of his brain. It flies in the face of almost all fantasy writing I've read, and that is Songs of Earth and Power. I know it is Songs of Earth and Power because I have like a paperback of it, but then I figured out it hasn't been published since in that way. It's 2 novels and like this one paperback, and they're very short, and I think they have to go together, so I don't know why it was ever published a different way. Very interesting. Heard good things about Forge of God, so definitely interested in that. You know what else I'm interested in? Greg Bear. I think he wrote a Halo novel or novels. Can't remember. I'd be interested in reading those. I like Halo lore. I picked this up just because I'm probably going to gift it to someone and I thought it was really cool. And that is an Arc of Lamentation by Ken Scholes. I plan on reading this. I have a first edition, first printing, but I thought an advanced copy is just really cool to have. And I love that it's got like the marketing plans on the back, but I don't know how well it was marketed because I was really into fantasy when this came out and I never saw it anywhere, never heard about it. So I don't know. I love that it has all the little details on the back, like the selling points and all that. So I might keep this. We'll see. If I really like Lamentation or the series as a whole, I'll probably keep this. I really like arcs. Here's a fun thing I learned. I was talking to a manager at Half Price Books 13 years ago, and they were telling me that part of their deal to sell new books, because used to they didn't sell new books, was that they had to stop selling arcs. They couldn't buy and sell arcs anymore if they wanted to be able to sell new books. And I was like, okay. I mean, I guess I can see that, but also it's kind of, swag, which explains why you don't see very many ARCs unless they're accidentally bought at Half Price Books. I bought an ARC for Storm of Swords from Half Price Books for $8, and then I sold it to a different bookstore for some exorbitant amount because I found a first edition, first printing that I also then sold because the book was broken spine, and they still paid me $200 for it. It was wild. Anyways, let's get back to these. Anyone else read Doonesbury? No, just me. I loved these as a kid, and I was really excited to see that there are graphic novels or collections of them, and this one is blurry. Can't tell, oversaturated. Ask for May, Settle for June. I just really like the comics. The really funny one, so we've got, and that's my final offer. Guys like about to get got. The really good one is In Search of Reagan's Brain. So it's a TV program trip through Ronald Reagan's brain. Now, when was this published? Because this takes on a very dark tone when you remember that the man had like Alzheimer's for the last couple years of his presidency. So it's from 1980. So this is before everyone knew that most of his brain was gone for the last half of his second term. They bring me nothing but joy, and like, what is the point of reading if you're not gonna, be happy, have fun? This will be cool. It'll be quick, easy reads. I can just lay back, relax. Speaking of quick, easy reads where you can lay back and relax, I picked up the Millennium Trilogy because, what says easy read like 2,400 pages of thriller and mysteries? I've always wanted to read the Millennium Trilogy. I used to have nicer copies. I sold them because I was like, when am I going to get to it? I have too many books. And now I have even more books than I've ever had. And so it's a few more. I might do those this year. Everyone has told me they're super bingeable, they're really good, and so I want to get to them. But I'm only reading those 3. I think someone else wrote later ones. I don't care about that. I got no time for reading books that expand a series when the writer's been dead, and I don't even know if they wanted the series extended. Now these next 2, I want to read them. I don't know if they're good or not. I got to pick up the first one. I only have like book 2 and book 3. But Larry McMurtry's Barry Bender narratives, these have to be the most beautiful book covers I have ever seen. They're gorgeous. I was just blown away. Very pretty books. I want to get the others. I was looking at Recycled Books, hoping to find a copy of Lonesome Dove for someone, and they have a gigantic section of Larry McMurtry. There's 20 signed books in that collection. There are books up there. I didn't know he wrote some of his most obscure novels. No copies of Lonesome Dove. Not a one. Have you looked at Lonesome Dove lately on like eBay and stuff? There's one copy for like $8 with no picture from one of the places that usually just sends you busted books. And the rest are like $15 for mass market paperbacks or more. And these mass market paperbacks, are like 20 years old. Crazy. What is going on? I know that Lonesome Dove is like a booktube darling right now, but I don't think that would be a big enough effect on the supply of used Lonesome Dove copies. I don't know. While I was over there, my wife was like, hey, don't you need this book? Isn't this part of what we're reading right now? And I was like, yes it is. And that is The Hallowed Hunt by Lois McMaster Bujold. This is the earliest book in the series chronologically. It takes place either 50 or 150 years before Penric and Desdemona, and it takes place 150 years before Curse of Chalion. So I will be getting to this. I'm probably going to read this one last in that overall series. Glad I found it. First issue, first printing. Very hyped. It's in okay shape. It's not a former library book. This collection, I won't talk about it too much because Jake's making a video about it, but collection was wild. I was joking with him. I was like, is this like Us from the future? It was just absurd. It was anything and everything from amazing condition to terrible condition. Looks like all the books have been read. I was like, who read all these? Next, I picked up an author I have not read, and it is a sequel to a book, and I don't know if its sequel will be even any good, but Werner Vinge's The Children of the Sky, which is a sequel to Fire Upon the Deep. I want to read Fire Upon the Deep. It has been on my TBR for quite a few years now. I'm hoping I can get to it this year. That would be a lot of fun. I don't have much else to say about that one. I picked up A Shadow in Summer not too long ago, the first book in the Long Price Quartet, and this is annoying because what I really want is the big science fiction book club edition of the Long Price Quartet. Did they print that? I don't think it was them, where it put all 4 books into one giant tome, because I think it's awesome. But instead, I keep finding more hardcovers of the series. This is a library one, and the pages are kind of yellowed on the edges. I don't know why these were stored in direct sunlight. This one's in okay shape. It's just yellowed, but the spine's all there. I don't know if it was even read very much when it was at the library. But now I have 2 hardcovers, so do I just get the other 2 hardcovers? Do I try to find that one that's like $80? for a decent price? I don't know. What's annoying is the Denton Public Library puts the sticker under the Brodart. So that's frustrating. At least my local libraries, it's a lot easier to get these stickers off. I'm just going to have to leave it like that because I don't want to damage the book. So I picked these up because what little Kevin J. Anderson I have read, I've enjoyed. It's like Jedi Academy trilogy or something. I can't remember what it's called. One of them was like Jedi Search. Anyways, they're fun. They're in what should be the still canon expanded universe, but they're not. And one of them is like Luke trying to find students to form a new Jedi Academy. In the first book, Han Solo and Chewie crash the Millennium Falcon. They're getting chased and then they get captured and enslaved. And so their whole story is trying to escape from the mines that they're trapped in. And then, just lots of interesting stuff. It's Star Wars. It's great. And I think Kevin J. Anderson did a good job with those. So I picked up his ridiculous series and it's Dan Shamble Zombie PI. They look ridiculous, but they also look like they'll be fun. So I want to try these and I thought this is a great excuse to get into them. I don't think the first one is in here, but they look like they'll be quick, fun reads. And, he dedicated this to David Farland, Brandon Sanderson, Eric Lint, and Rebecca Moesta. We'll see if I like Kevin J. Anderson beyond his Star Wars stuff. Now, I know that most of the people that watch my stuff are science fiction and fantasy fans, but I bet you all also love Dave Barry, the guy with his finger on the pulse of America 30 years ago. This is his book, Dave Barry Slept Here, A Sort of History of the United States. I think Dave Barry is very funny and I always enjoy reading stuff from him, and so I'm gonna get a kick out of this. Here's a good one. I think it's talking about World War I. The actual war itself was extremely depressing and in many cases fatal. We're going to follow standard history textbook procedure for talking about wars, under which we pretty much skip over the part where people get killed and instead make a big deal over what date the treaty was signed. Okay, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. I picked up a Mark Greaney novel, Backblast. I think I own this, but I'm not gonna say no because I really enjoyed Mark Greaney and I couldn't remember if I had it, so I had to get it. And I got these a couple days ago. Still haven't checked if I own a copy. I guess I'll find out when I go to put all these on the shelves. Now, one of the reasons we went to get the books was because Jake said the magic words, John D. McDonald. And so I picked up 5 paperbacks. I did not own a copy of The Lonely Silver Rain in paperback. I have it in first edition, first printing. And then I have a copy of Bright Orange for the Shroud, but this is a better copy because the one I have, it's the one I'm thinking of. Like the cover is Travis McGee, but for some reason he looks like Donald Trump, which is weird. And then I don't remember if I have a copy of One Fearful Yellow Eye. So I got that. I do have a copy of The Deep Blue Goodbye. I think I have this exact copy. I don't know, but I like owning a lot of Travis McGee. Your boy is now a hoarder of Travis McGee, and it is sanctioned by my wife, who's also a hoarder of Travis McGee. And I did not own a copy of A Deadly Shade of Gold, or maybe I did. I think I own the one that is gold, but I like this one. Got a little busted Aztec statue on the front, a bloody glove. I don't know where the bloody glove comes from. I've read this one. The busted Aztec statue also makes very lit'll sense. How'd they fit this in here? A Deadly Shade of Gold is the double McGee novel, isn't it? I am a big fan of the old Mad Magazine stuff, and so when I saw these, I knew I had to have it. 2 of them are Don Martin, who was one of the OGs at Mad Magazine, and these are just his little comics, his little silly drawings and his commentary on the world, and I really like them. And so I picked that up, and I found The Brothers Mad, which is just more of the original stuff from Mad Magazine. It's just so fun. They're ridiculous. Like, most of the humor doesn't hold up unless you have some moronically advanced knowledge of the era in which it was written, which for some reason I do. I can't remember where my keys are or what I ate yesterday, but for some reason I'm good at remembering enough pop culture touchstones from the 50s and 60s that I find this stuff funny. I don't know. So I want to read Rex Stout, and of course you got to start with Nero Wolfe, and I picked up 4 Nero Wolfe paperbacks. I know nothing else about them. Don't know where they're at chronologically or publication order or any of that stuff. I used to have this, The Magic of Recluse. I want like a cool hardcover of this. I really like the Recluse series. I've read the first 15. I think there's like 25 of them now. It is just your kind of run-of-the-mill fantasy. But I really like the world building. There's Order and Chaos, which harkens all the way back to Poul Anderson and other fantasy authors of the like 50s and the 60s. Michael Moorcock, of course, Roger Zelazny. Now I'm just naming authors. Anyways, this world is built entirely upon the laws of order and the laws of chaos. There are magic users that are adepts of one or the other. There are very few that are able to touch both. They are like yin and yang. A chaos mage being touched with like something heavily imbued with order, it will kill him. Vice versa for order mages. The more powerful one side gets, the other is pushed to meet it. And he uses this whole balancing in a very interesting way. One of the early series, I say early chronologically, don't read these in publication order. You read them in chronological order. You can start with the Magic of Recluse, but then you want to go all the way back to the Sayador stuff. That is a civilization built on order and chaos, and you see the repercussions of that through that series because their mages are all basically chaos mages, but their civilization is orderly. And it's like, well, then where does the chaos come from? This has to stay balanced, and you find that out in the series as you follow the main character. One of the critiques of these books is that they're all basically the farm boy does good trope, but they're done in interesting ways. Each character I find to be unique, but maybe other people don't. I think one of the better sets of them, I think one of the books is called Order Master, is the like farm boy does good, but he is 45 years old and he had like a family and he's lived like a whole life. And now he's learning magic and, learning about the world. And so I think they're good. There's some science fiction elements in some of these. It's really cool. This is going on a lot longer than it should. Maybe I'll make a video about them if I ever read them again. I picked up Storm of Iron by Graham McNeil. I like Graham McNeil's Ultramarine series, and I really like the Iron Warriors. If I had to pick a Chaos Army, this is one of them that I would enjoy, mostly in Heresy. Iron Warriors are really cool in 40k as well, but man, they're awesome in Heresy because Perturabo is a like 400 IQ dude. He beats the brakes off of a Demon Primarch just to prove that he can. It's just wild. One of the cool things about Iron Warriors, they have the most Sigma Chad ass saying, and it's completely impractical, but also like just the thing that you would hear from someone like them. Their saying is weakness is a choice. Now, you can look at that as a whole fascist, we cull the weak, but what I look at it as, and they kind of do this in some of the stories, is you are dealt the hand you're dealt. And you can decide to excel with that hand that you are given, or you can choose to fold under the pressure. I don't think the bar is the same for everyone, but I think that saying can be pretty motivational when you look at it as I can choose to do nothing and never get better, or I can do my best with the limitations that I've been given. I think weakness is a choice is just like the bad guy way of saying do your best. Anyways, Iron Warriors are cool. Bothers me because look, they've got like iron armor in here, but they're painted black everywhere else. I think the way I would paint them is like a dark iron color, and then I would go over them with an oil wash, but this is not my mini painting YouTube channel, so let's not elaborate on that. I think the iron and gold looks real cool with like a little black tinting to it. I picked this up from nostalgia's sake. I remember reading it and I don't know if it was any good. Maybe I will just read this without reading the one that comes before it, but I picked up Guild Pact, Ravnica Cycle Book 2. These used to come in the fat packs that you could buy. The fat pack was like 2 boxes that hold cards, a bunch of packs, and a novel, and a few other things. I liked the Ravnica world. I hated the Ravnica world when they went back to it. I think the whole Gates thing was stupid, and the fact that it was like the Jace Beleren show, but I remember enjoying these. The first one is about a detective trying to solve a crime and his partner is a ghost, so it's pretty cool. So we'll see if this is any good. I don't remember. Look at how edgy they are though. They're like the black and white guild, so they're like goths, I don't know, worship spirits or something. Like that dude's got like a bunch of piercing on the lip. He's got his little got his smoky eyes, and she's got her eyebrow pierced. Got the little piercing down here too. How cool are you to be doing that in a fantasy world? I just hope they don't cut themselves with all that edge. She's holding a knife that's serrated. Yeah, I don't remember anything about this book. I should try to read it. I'll probably DNF it in the first 15 pages. That's it. This was quite arduous to film. My camera cut off for no reason, and then my camera cut off because the storage was full, and now I am here finishing this. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. I try to make a book haul before I put all my books up because it's so difficult to go find them all again. I take pictures of them when I get them, but yeah, this is just the best way to do it, and I need to put these books up if I have space for them somewhere. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these. Have you read any of the Magic the Gathering novels? I've read like 5 of them. None of them were very good, but maybe I go back and I'll enjoy them. I don't know though. I'm not sure if my taste in books is going up or going down, because I am way quicker to DNF now when something sucks, but I also enjoy quite a few stinkers that I probably would have never picked up a few years ago. So I don't know. All you Tunnels and Trolls fans out there, let me know if this is any good. Thanks for watching. And with that, I'll see you next time.